What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of the Belle Collective Season 2, Episode 9, and evidently the season finale. I had no idea that this was the season finale. We had only 9 episodes, not even a full 10, and now the season is over. Carlos King is for the people because he doesn't want to bore us with a whole bunch of filler episodes just to meet a quota. He's like, we're going to give these people 9 short episodes, and each episode is going to be meaningful, it's going to be purposeful, each episode is going to have a reason. So I do appreciate that, Carlos King. So let's get into it. We start off this episode where we ended the last episode, which was at Marie's event. Now, this is the event that she was hosting to celebrate her and Essie opening up 5 methadone clinics in the Jackson area, being the first African American women to ever do so in Jackson. So as soon as Taisha made an entrance, Tambra made an exit. She saw Taisha and she was like, oh, hell no, I'm not doing this. Like, Tambra, what are you running from? Why can't you have a conversation? If you're so secure in your relationship with Damon slash Greedy, then why can't you have a conversation with this woman and put things to rest once and for all? As long as you're running from Taisha, it seems like you're running away from the truth, or you're running away from something, or Taisha has information that you really don't want to hear about your man. But she makes an exit. She takes off her mic, and as she's walking out of the event, she is yelling to Taisha, you are desperate and crazy. So Tambra says in her confessional, she says a whole bunch of stuff in her confessional, but the thing that I zoned in on was when she said, one thing's for sure, I am going home to him. Him who? Him who? Because that him ain't even your husband. You want to get married so bad to this man. He just wants to make you a glorified roommate. You have no ring in sight, no proposal in sight, as far as we can tell. And you're proud that you are going to be going back home to him as if this is like some type of a prize. This is a man who is like rumors surrounding him like nobody's business, who seems to be ducking and dodging certain questions about Taisha, who gets extremely defensive with the producers when they even ask him about Taisha. But you are so proud that you are leaving this event of powerful women trying to do big things to run home to him. Okay, Akeisha gets up. She makes an announcement, which I thought was kind of strange that Akeisha would get up and make this announcement since it wasn't even her event. Not even Marie cared enough to get up and say this, but Akeisha got up and said that whatever's going on between Taisha and Tambra and Damon, all of that needs to be handled privately and should not have been brought to the event. I guess Akeisha stood up to say this because she was probably thinking that Taisha being there has something to do with Latishia, because Latishia and Akeisha are not quite seeing things eye to eye. So maybe Akeisha thought that she was really setting the record straight for Latishia, but Latishia had nothing to do with it. Latishia says that she had nothing to do with Taisha being there. So Akeisha says in her confessional that I am here to protect this collective and I won't let any outside influence destroy this group. Okay, you're brand new to this group, but all of a sudden you're like fiercely loyal to all of these women, and you're very protective of this group against Taisha. Taisha believes that her and Tambra dealt with Damond at about the same time, and Taisha dropped a bomb on the women and said that Tambra, even though she was dealing with Damond at some point, she had a fiance. She was engaged to a whole nother man. And so I need a timeline. I need someone to please, draw out a clear and concise timeline of this relationship between Tambra and Damond. Because from last season, unless I wasn't really paying attention or unless I really missed something, I was under the impression that Tambra and Damond knew each other from way back in the day. I'm talking about maybe when Tambra was in her early 20s or possibly when they were still in high school, that they had grown up, they went to high school together, maybe had a relationship in high school or soon after. It wasn't very long. They went their separate ways. And then there was this huge gap where they were not really dealing with each other until last season when it seemed like she reconnected with him because she really wanted to have a baby and wanted to have a baby with him. So I thought that she was like going through her Rolodex of, old boyfriends or whatever, and just was like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and see what's going on with Demond. And started to reconnect with him, and then told him that she wanted to have a baby and she wanted him to provide her the specimen. So I kind of was under the impression that they were friends and she just needed his specimen to have a baby, that it really wasn't a relationship, but then it kind of turned into a relationship. So when did she have this fiance? Was it since they reconnected, or were they always dealing with each other throughout the years in a really serious, I don't know. That's where I was confused, and I need someone to break it down. Latrice, moving on now to Latrice. Latrice is staying with her brother for about a week. She said her and her husband Cliff, I'm assuming they had a fight. For her to move out the way she did to go stay with her brother, I'm assuming they had a pretty big fight. And she says she's been staying with her brother for about a week. She tells her brother that she doesn't like how Cliff talks to her. He likes to talk down to her. And she also doesn't like the fact that, he wants this very traditional marriage where the wife is barefoot and pregnant and cooking and cleaning, and she says that that's just not her. So my question is that when they first met, was this not ever discussed on what they expected from one another? Did he know that he was marrying a woman that was going to be very career driven, very motivated about making her money, and wasn't about popping out babies and cooking and cleaning? Did he know that when he married her? Or did she present herself that way and then she flipped the script on him? Or did he make it seem like he was okay with her being a career woman, but then when they got married, all of a sudden he flipped the script and he wants her to become a housewife? So I don't understand why they don't see eye to eye, why they keep having these issues of her wanting to be a career woman and him having a big problem with that. I don't get it. Do they even talk about children? That's something else that they're completely on different sides of the spectrum on. Do they even discuss children? I'm just not understanding what the hell they talked about when they first met, because I thought when you meet someone, you start dating and you realize it's becoming serious, that you would have these conversations of what you expect from one another and whether or not you plan to have children, how many children, how do you plan to discipline your children, how far apart do you want these children to be? When do you want to have children? I mean, I thought all of this stuff was discussed in the very beginning so that you could be on the same page. He wants children really badly with her. She doesn't want children at all. He wants a wife that's a little bit more balanced with home and work. She wants to be all about work and all about money. So I have a feeling that they didn't talk about any of this stuff. I think he saw an attractive young woman, a much, much younger woman, and he liked that, and that's what he wanted. And she saw an older man who had a whole bunch of money that could help her with her businesses, and she liked that. That's what I think is going on here. But then now they have all these expectations of one another that were never really discussed, and they're constantly fighting. And then she tells her brother, look, I don't have a problem having a family. I just want to have a family at my own time when I'm good and ready to do it. I don't want people pressuring me to have children when I'm just not ready to have children. And so the brother tells her, well, look, you got to keep in mind that you don't want to be that older woman at an advanced age. All of a sudden, you wake up one morning and you desperately want to have a child and you realize because of your age that you can't. So don't forget about that. And I'm pretty sure that if she has the money, she can probably have a baby at any time she wants. She could do what these Hollywood people do. You can go to a fertility specialist, get a surrogate, get donor eggs. She can make it happen at any point that she wants. But if you want your own baby and you want to carry your own baby, you want to do everything naturally, then Latrice, you need to keep in mind, with time. Time is never on your side on that. And her brother tells her, just let your husband know how you feel about all these issues. Just be upfront and direct with him. But every time she tries to talk to this man, he completely overtalks her. He hardly ever lets her finish a damn sentence. And we'll get to them later. Moving on to Akeisha. So Akeisha has another event, or she has an event, and she invited all of the who's who in business of Jackson. So all of these powerful businesswomen are invited, and it is a luncheon. And Latishia says something about how this luncheon was looking more like a brunch. Why is that bad? So what? Okay. Latishia says that she feels like Akeisha is competing with her. Like she had to have the better luncheon, had to have the better event. It seems like Akeisha is moving full steam ahead on this whole Ferris Street project, while Letitia's kind of like dragging her feet. I guess she's still looking for sponsors or donors, or she's really preoccupied with her failing marriage or whatever. But Akeisha is moving full steam ahead as far as this Ferris Street project goes. So at this luncheon, she also shows a video of how she envisions Ferris Street to look, and she included all of the women's businesses on Ferris Street. When I thought that was a really, cute little video that she did. At some point, Tambra, Marie, and Latishia get together and have a conversation about what happened at Marie's event when Tambra had stormed out after Taisha showed up. And Marie really wanted Tambra to know that, girl, I had nothing to do with what went down because I thought you and Taisha were good. I invited her to my event, knowing that you were invited as well, because I thought that y'all had squashed all of this Damon stuff. I didn't know that, tempers were still flaring over Damon, so I wasn't trying to start nothing. So Tambra talks about how, in her confessional, she talks about how, she's talked more about the decorator in the last few months than she's ever thought about her in her whole entire life. Tambra said that Taisha told her a while back at some point. I mean, Tambra and Damon, the way they talk about how things went down and events that occurred, they're very vague about time frames and timelines. So maybe she said 5 years ago. Did she say that? I don't know. She said 5 years ago. I think she said 5 years ago that Taisha had told her that there was nothing ever going on between her and Damon, which makes me ask, why would Taisha feel the need to tell you that? Were you questioning whether or not something was going on between her and Damon? But she said Taisha had told her 5 years ago, or at some point in the past, Taisha told her there's nothing going on between us, never was, never will be. And so no, she said that to the ladies at the luncheon. She told that to the ladies directly at the luncheon. And so then Marie was like, okay, so if nothing was ever going on, so what is the problem? Why are y'all still having this bad blood between y'all? And Tambra says, because she's lying. She's lying. It's lies. I guess she means that she's lying now, saying that there's something going on between her and Damon, or there was a deep connection between her and Damon now, when before she had said that nothing was going on. So I guess Tambra is choosing to not believe her now, but would rather believe her then. Latishia says that she's in support of Akeisha and whatever Akeisha's got going on with Ferris Street, because it's all about Ferris Street and Ferris Street being renovated. This is a project that is bigger than both of them. So, she's just going to support her and be there for her, whatever. Moving on. Marie, her mom is missing. She can't find her mom. So she gets in her work van and she takes Latishia and Essie with her to drive around the hood to figure out where the hell her mom is at. She hasn't seen her mom in days and she's worried about her. So they're driving around the hood. They're asking a whole bunch of people, where's Lulu? No, not Lulu. Is it Lulu or Lula? Where's Lula? Where's Lula? Finally, she figures out where she's at. She walks up to the house. Lula comes out and, first thing she asks her daughters for $30. She says, can you give me $30? She sees the camera crew is there, and so she really doesn't want to be recorded. So she tells, her daughter, hey, I don't want, she says something about, let's go talk over here because I see that the film people are here, the camera people are here. So she wants to keep everything, away from the cameras where we can hear and see everything. So she asks her daughter for $30. Marie says, I need you to come with me to, I guess, Diana Street, to some other location, I guess, where there's a rehab. And so she's trying to convince her mom to come with her. And her mom is like, I got you. Okay, I'm gonna be out. So she goes back into the house, never to be seen again. So they waited 30 minutes for her, to the point where I guess the camera crew started feeling kind of antsy, being in this, drug infested neighborhood. The camera crew was like, look, we can't risk our lives anymore, so let's just get the hell on out. So they leave Lula there, and unfortunately Lula was unable to get the help that Marie wanted her to get right then and there. And I'm thinking to myself, if your mom ain't ready to get help, it's not going to work. I thought you had to wait for the addict to want the help, for them to reach rock bottom, and for them to want to get the help. So they left her there. Latrice, she's back home now because he probably hurt himself on purpose so he can bring his woman home. Cliff got hurt. I don't know where. I don't know what the hell he was doing. He was messing around with a saw. He cut himself pretty deeply. People were calling Latrice, letting her know your man hurt himself. He missed his woman. He wanted his woman back. So she comes back, takes care of him. I don't know, takes him to the doctor or wherever she takes him. And they have a conversation at home. And she's kind of like, we need to have better communication. The communication between us sucks. It's bad. He says to her, look, I would rather communicate with you, but you would rather run. Whenever we have a problem, you want to go run away. And she says, the reason why I run is because the communication between us is bad. I don't like how you talk to me. I don't like how you yell, you raise your voice, you get loud. He's like, I'm country. This is how we talk. Well, you're going to have to find a different way of talking. Your wife doesn't like all of that yelling and getting loud and talking down. And she says, you talk to me like I'm your kid, like you're my father, like you're chastising me or trying to discipline me. And I'm not down with that. And it's like this, Latrice, I get you. I agree with you. I understand where you're coming from. No one should be yelling at anybody. We can have a decent conversation without raising our voices. And I can do this review without getting loud, right? So, but Latrice, you married an old man, okay? And there's a huge age gap between y'all. And I just don't know how. I don't think you're around the age of his children. You're around the age of his kids. I don't think he can talk to you any other way. He should try. Most definitely he should try, but I just don't think that he's capable of talking to her in any other way other than the way he's been talking to her. So they talk about that. And then she tells him how I still haven't gotten my period. She says, I'm too scared to take a test because I just don't know. I'm scared of what the results may be because I'm just not ready. So she goes up, she gets up, takes the damn test, comes back, shows him the test, and it is negative. So she feels completely relieved because she doesn't want children at all right now. So she says, I feel like she will never want children, but whatever. He's disappointed because he really wanted to have a baby with her. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to tell you one thing, and I'm going to show you better than I can tell you. Next year, you're going to be pregnant with my child. We are having a kid next year. So we shall see. Latishia and Glenn go to meet with a couples counselor. This is a lot for me to unpack. So her and Glenn go to meet a couples counselor. No, the couples counselor actually goes to them. She said that the only way that she would agree to meet with the counselor with Glenn is if the counselor came to them. So the counselor shows up. I think it was at her office. Glenn says that the problem started when Latishia began to grow her business and she became more involved in the whole Ferris Street thing. He felt like that she was growing in another direction, that he really didn't need her, and that there was this distance between them. And obviously he's setting this up as far like to say that's the reason why I stepped out on my marriage, because my wife acted like she didn't need me. Whether she acted like she needed you or not, sir, you were still married. Okay, you were still married. And within the confines of this marriage, you cannot step out. Okay, you have to deal with the problems or dissolve the marriage. Those are your only options, but you cannot step out on your, there is never an excuse on earth for you to step out on your marriage. You need to deal with it or dissolve the marriage. So Glenn says that she was so distant that she didn't even realize that he was crying out for help. I was like, look at this slick, look at this slick little man here trying to put some blame on her. Like you didn't even realize that I was crying out for help because you're so distant. You were so involved in other things that you didn't even realize that I really, really needed you in my darkest hour and you weren't there for me. Trying to put some blame on her. And she was like, you know what? I couldn't even, where did you need this help? Because I couldn't tell. There's so many different versions of you. There's the Glenn that's like this. There's the Glenn that's like that. So I couldn't tell. I don't know. When did you need help? What are you talking about? And he says, I was in a really deep depression and you weren't even there for me. Latishia says that she could never tell what was going on with him because, like I said before, there's like different variations of Glenn's. Latishia says in her confessional that I hope he wasn't using this depression to try to manipulate me into coming back to him, to make her feel bad. Like, oh my God, my husband was in this really dark space and I wasn't there for him. I was a horrible wife. Let me go back home and prove to him that I can be better. So the counselor asks Latishia, do you love him? And she says yes. Then the counselor asked her, are you in love with him? She says, I don't know. Latishia says that there is still hope because she's there. Because he was trying to say something like, well, if she's not in love with me, then I guess it's over. I don't know what he said. And she was like, no, it's not over. I'm still here. I showed up. I'm still here. And I still have hope in our relationship. So she says that she's just now becoming the best version of herself, and that she needs time. She says she just needs time. She needs time to kind of like figure out what she wants to do, figure out who she is, what direction she wants to go to. So this whole time, Glenn was being frustrated that she wasn't moving at his pace. It wasn't moving fast enough for him. So Latishia thinks that them being separated was really, really good for them because it helped Glenn realize that she wasn't going to put up with the mess. She was sick and tired of his philandering ways, and that she took a stand, and that as easy as it was for her to leave that this first time, she can do it again, even a lot more easier the next time around. So she says that the next time Glenn cheats on her, she's going to put those papers on him. It's going to be over. The marriage will be dissolved. She is ready to sign those papers the next time that he cheats on her. So that was the end of the episode. So in the after notes that we got, it said that Latishia actually moved back home with Glenn. And she probably didn't even unpack her damn suitcase before he was out messaging random chicks again. I don't know why Latishia doesn't see what I see, at least, because I can't speak for nobody else. Because to me, it's so obvious that Glenn does not know, does not understand what fidelity is and what being faithful is. He's so old school to me. He's like a jive turkey. He's so old school. Like, he's one of the, he reminds me of those guys that is chasing the young girls who are like half his age, because I'm assuming he's in his 40s. He's chasing around girls that are half his age, who still got babies on their hips. He goes to those 18 and up clubs trying to pick up the young girls. That's what Glenn reminds me of. And he likes the younger girls because they don't know any better. They don't expect much from him. You know, they're willing to do whatever for a little bit of cash. And but they don't know how to take care of a man, because he is in his 40s. I think he's in his 40s. He's still in his 40s. He still wants to be taken care of. And that's the reason why he needs Latishia in his life, because Latishia is around his age and knows how to cater to him. They've been together a very long time, and she knows how to cater to him. She knows how to take care of him. You know, she knows how to cook and clean. He likes to come home to a nicely clean home, food cooking in the kitchen, smelling all delicious, bed freshly made, clothes are washed and cleaned, folded and hung up. That's what he wants, right? But in the midnight hour, he's ready to creep and crawl, looking for them young ones, you know, those young ones, chasing them. He likes to show off his wad of cash because it makes their eyes, you know, pop out. And that's what he does for fun. That's his recreational. That's what he does for his recreational activity, is chasing those young girls around. But then at the end of the day, he wants to come home to a woman who will take his shoes off, rub his feet, get him his dinner, get him his cold beer, his cigar, whatever. You can't have it both ways, Glenn. You're not going to be able to have it both ways. And so at the reunion, I bet her here Latishia talking about how she has filed for divorce and they're just waiting for the judge to finalize it. I better hear that. So Gucci, it wasn't a lot of So Gucci. I mean, the part that we saw of So Gucci, I liked. You know, the scenes that we had with her, I really did like. I liked her family dynamic. I liked watching scenes with her and her family, her real estate business. So I don't have a problem with So Gucci. So Gucci can definitely come back. They did a whole billboard reveal at the end for her and her business. Tambra moving in with Damon and not married, because now the reason why is, I'm not saying that it's wrong to move in with people that you're not married to. I'm just making that a point because Tambra herself has said that she had to get married before she moved in with him and before she had a baby with him. But it's like she threw all of those restrictions to the wayside because she's so desperate to keep a piece of a man that she went ahead and moved in with him. And then she said they were going to try to have a baby naturally. So she's willing to do, if she's already let it, if she's already let him know that I can move in with you without marrying you, and I don't have a problem trying to have a baby with you without us being married, then why would he marry her? Why would he do that? He can get everything he wants without marrying her. So she moved in. They're going to try to have a baby. Ain't no ring inside. Ain't no proposal inside. Whatever, Tambra. Aikisha, I guess she broke ground on Ferris Street renovation. She was in her little hard hat and her shovel. I don't know if the press was, I don't know who it was. People were there taking pictures of her. So I guess they broke ground and they're going to start this whole Ferris Street renovation. Latishia, oh, I already talked about Latishia. And Marie, she says that she can't keep putting her life on hold for her mother, so she's gonna have to love her mom from a distance, and she's still doing her thing with her rehab clinics. Latrice, she's still focused on her damn business, and she moved her business to a much better location. And we'll talk about babies anytime in the near future. So this was a good little cute season of Belle Collective. It was just as good or maybe even better than last season. I really did enjoy it. I am looking forward to the reunion, and I am looking forward to season 3. So once again, good job, Carlos King. Carlos King knows how to make reality TV. He really does. He really understands what it takes to make a good reality TV show, because all of the things that he's produced, Belle Collective, Love and Marriage Huntsville, Love and Marriage DC, I've loved it all. But thank you so much for joining me for this review. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video. If you like this content, please go ahead and subscribe, and I will definitely talk to you later. Bye.